Hey everyone, we're going to take this bell icon from Figma to After Effects, animate it, and then export it as a Lottie file. Let's go. Alright, the first thing you're going to need is this Figma file. I'm going to put a link to it in the description below, and then you can take a look at a video I did a little while back called Setting Up Your Mac for Lottie Animations. Because in this tutorial, as well as Figma and After Effects, you're going to need some plugins and extensions. One's called AX, which takes this bell icon from here in Figma out to After Effects in a couple of seconds. And the other's called Body Movin', which once we've finished animating it in After Effects, exports it as a animated JSON file that then can be played using the Lottie library, hence the Lottie in the name. Okay, and if you need to see that setup video, go and do that, and then we'll begin. And here in After Effects, let's take a look at what we're making. Let's just play it. So the dot pops up, it dings, lets you know there's more notifications. You select it to view them, then you close it. Okay, so let's go and have a closer look at this. The dot comes in, and that little wobble you see there is controlled by an expression that we're going to add in right at the very end. Then we see the bell start to sway, and then the ball inside it follow its movement. So you can see it move, it gets hit over that side. When the bell comes back, it gets hit over that side. Then we've got the select state for when you actually tap on the icon, which makes the dot disappear, and then we fade back out. Let's start a new After Effects file, go back into Figma and bring that icon over. And to start a new After Effects project, just go up to File, New Project. From here, we can save it. So I'm just going to go to File, Save As. And I'm just going to put this on my desktop. I'm going to call it Animated Bell Icon for Lottie. And let's go and correct the spelling and press Save. Okay, with that done, let's go back to Figma and send the icon over. And this next part only works if you've got the desktop version of Figma installed, which allows you to install plugins that are still in development, like the AX plugin, which you can learn how to install with that setup video I pointed you to earlier. From the cover screen, you then go to the bell icon page over here. Just select the bell icon, and then go to Plugins, Development, AX. Okay, this is going to pop up. Let's just send selection to AE and see what happens. Okay, and it's brought it in at 1 times its size, which makes it very pixelated. Let's go to Window, Extensions, and AX to then change the settings that the information is brought in at to 4 times. Okay, we want it to last for about 7 seconds as well, and keep the frame rate at 60 frames per second. Let's go back to Figma, resend it, but in the meantime, let's just grab that folder and delete it. So roll back to the beginning, then resend it from Figma. With it still selected in Figma, go to Send Selection to AE. Alright, let's zoom out a little bit. And that's better. So what size is it? Let's right click on the composition here. It's 96 by 96, 60 frame rate, and it's 7 seconds long. Fantastic. Let's go OK. And for now, we can close this window. Let's take a look at the layers. We've got a null up here called dot, which controls the dot. You can see me move that up and down there. I'm just going shift arrow up and down. If I select bell, it's going to select the complete bell. So the default version and then the selected version. You can see the selected layer there. Let's just toggle that off and on. We've got bell default, which has all the different things. And there's a bounding box at the back. That's just something I include in the icons that I make, which is transparent. So when you export them, they have a bounding box in the SVG that stays the same width and height no matter what. That's great for consistency, but for here, it doesn't really do much, right? So we can change that and its contents and its fill by just digging in like that. See the opacity there? We can ramp that up to 100. Now I've got a white box in the background, so when we create the Lottie file and preview it, it'll actually have a background. Cool, let's close that. I'm just going to select it and hit U on my keyboard. That's going to close it. Now let's just zoom in so we can see what we're doing. We're going to go and add some markers. So just bring the playhead over to 1 second. Grab the marker over here, see comp marker. Just drag and You can hold down Shift so it snaps. Double click on it and say 1.in. From here, let's just move it over to that 30 frame part. Add another one called Deane. Go all the way over to 4. Bring in another one. Call that 3. Select. Press OK. Bring another one in, 30 frames from there. Call this one 4.out. And then bring one all the way over to 6. And call it 5. Select. Okay, let's go all the way over to 1. Select the dot null, hit S on your keyboard for scale. Make a keyframe here, that's that little stopwatch. Hold down Command Shift and then move over once. Make another keyframe, go back to the first keyframe and bring this down to 0. So that's going to bring in the dot like this, and then the expression that we had later is going to add that bounce. From there, go back to the first keyframe, right click on it, go to Keyframe Assistant and Easy Ease Out. Now with it still selected, let's go over to this, which is the graph editor. And you can see that it's starting off a little bit slower and then speeding up. Let's preview that. All right, that's looking fine. Let's go over to the second marker. Select the bell null and we want to turn it on. So go over to the left here because we want to see where this is. This is the anchor point. So if we change the anchor point and move it from here to here, we rotate that, the bell is going to move left to right on its axis. So let's do that. We're going to select it, hit Y on our keyboard, and then we can just hold down Shift, move it up, and release it right about there. Now, I'm going to go select the selection tool again to get out of there. Then I'm going to hit R. That's going to bring up rotation. Now let's just see if it's working. Yeah, there you go. All right, so at this point we'll want to add a keyframe here. Then hold down Command Shift and go forward twice. Make another keyframe with Command and Shift still selected. Go forward 3 times. Make another keyframe. Command Shift again. Go forward twice. Another keyframe. And then one more time to add another one. And with that done, let's go back to the first one. Right, so that's at 0. Let's come over. Change this to -10. That's going to move it over to the right there. Then we're going to come back, change this to 15. Come back to here, change this to -10 again. Then it's going to come back to 0. Now, if we play that, it's all very linear, right? So we're going to change its movement. Just going to switch off the bell selected for now, so we can see this more clear. All right, so with this first keyframe selected, go right click, Keyframe Assistant, Easy Ease Out. Then we're going to leave the last one as it is, but select these 3 and hold down Command and then select them. That's going to make them kind of roam across time keyframes. Now, if we select this, go into the graph editor, you can see that curves are already starting to be added there. Now we want to grab this first one and just move it over there. And this one, move it over there, probably to around there. The top one, we're going to select that and move it right out. And what we're basically doing here is adding velocity. Right? So these big curves where it's starting off slow, speeding up and then slowing down again. Let's select that last one and change its curve as well to probably around there. Now let's go back and see what change that made. That's better. It's going off, picking up speed, coming back, and then stopping. And we're going to add the same expression that we add here when that adds that wobble to the end keyframe here as well. So it also has a little bit of a wobble. And that expression I'll put into the Figma file as well as a separate page. Now with the bell null selected, I'm just going to turn it off. Then come down to the ball layer there. And now we're going to add some keyframes for this. So when the bell is moving, it gets banged around. Okay, the first one is going to be at the second keyframe, like right in line with that. Let's select the layer there and hit P for position. We're going to set a keyframe there. Come over probably around one step. Come to the left and change this first value to something like 42. That's going to move it over to the right. Then we're going to make the other keyframe about the same space away from this third keyframe on that layer. And that one is going to change from 42 to 20. So it goes over to the other side now. And if we have a look what's happening there, it's getting hit there, coming back, and it's about to get hit back this way as well. So that one's actually going to be about maybe between these two. And we're going to change that to 46. Taking it all the way to the other side again, very quickly, as that gets snapped there. Then it's going to rest one step away from there. So with Command Shift selected, go forward once again. That's probably a bit too far, so let's just hit plus on our keyboard. That's going to zoom into the keyframes. I want it to be about here. Yeah. And we're going to go back to the original place it was at, which was 32, right in the middle. Let's bring ourselves back out by hitting minus on our keyboard. Go back to that first thing there. Okay, it's 32.3. Let's copy and paste that over because we want it to be in the exact same position. Now, let's go back to the beginning. Right click on that first keyframe, easy ease out. And the same thing goes next. We just select these three keyframes, hold down Shift, and then click them again. Open up the graph editor. And with the first one selected, we're just going to come over to the bottom here and select easy ease. We're going to do that with this one and this one. Okay, let's select graph editor again and come back and see what movement that gives us. Gets hit from that side, comes over to the other side, gets hit again, and then rests. Now let's preview that from the dot coming in and the bell swinging to see what it looks like. All right, looking good. But we want to bring that select layer back in, right? Because that's going to come in at around here. Okay. So with it selected, we're going to hit T on our keyboard. This is going to open up opacity. We're going to make your first keyframe, then Command Shift forward, make another keyframe, come back to that first keyframe and take this down to 0. We can even trim it there. So we can hold down Option and then left bracket. That'll trim it. So we only see it when we absolutely need to. And while this is fading in, we have to fade out all the other layers. So let's select them all. So we've got top, bell, and ball. Hit T on our keyboard. Make your keyframes for opacity there. Go forward, change this to 0. And you're going to see it now transition from default to selected filled state. And then we're going to animate the dot out at this point. So to do that, we just grab these keyframes, copy them, and with the playhead here and the layer selected, paste them. Then we're going to right click on them, go to Keyframe Assistant and Time Reverse Keyframes. That's just going to switch them around. So what you see here is the dot come in, and then it goes back out again. But I'm going to reset this keyframe here by Command click. That's going to take it back to a linear keyframe. And from there, I can just come out to bell deselect, and we're going to reverse all of these. So with bell selected, just copy and paste, copy keyframes, paste them, select this layer, copy keyframes, paste them, select this one, do the same, and then time reverse all of them. I wonder if I can do that all at once. Let's see. Time reverse keyframes. Awesome. And now we're at the loop phase, so we can see the whole thing happening. Comes in, sways, gets selected, comes back out. But let's hit minus on our keyboard to bring the timeline all together. We're just going to come to the beginning here, go Command All, hit U on our keyboard. That's going to close everything up, and then hit it again. That's going to open up all the keyframes. Now I might just move this up a little bit so we can see everything. And we want to go and grab that expression and add it to this, this, and this. So let's go back into the Figma file and copy and paste it from there. And back in Figma, just go to the expression page, and we're going to copy and paste this. This may not look like a lot, or doesn't even look like it makes sense, but it's basically adding a bit of inertia to your movement. So if something comes in really hard, it's going to make it do this. Okay, let's go and grab it, copy it. Back in After Effects, select the dot null and its first keyframe. Now hold down Option, and then select the stopwatch there. See how everything turned red? It's waiting for an expression to be added. So we're just going to paste into there, click out, and then see what happens. As it comes in, you can see that little bit of extra inertia. Fantastic. Let's do the same here. Select that keyframe, Option, click, paste, then come down and do the same again here. Now, everything should be moving much more fluidly. Let's just play the whole thing. Great. How's that dot going out? That's causing a little bit of an issue there. So let's go and fix it. So what I'm going to do is just trim that layer. So it's coming back about there. So I'm going to select this layer, which is actually called circle, and hold down Option, right bracket. Now it's just going to cut out and we won't see anything. All right. With everything done, let's do Command All U on your keyboard. So at this point, you could probably give this to your developer at about here, actually. So they set a delay for when the screen loads. Then this comes in, if there is anything new. Then you see the animation. Then you select it. So this would be when you tap it with your thumb or your finger. Opens up your notifications panel. You look at those new notifications, and when you close it, it comes back out. Now, in your design, I don't know whether you're going to have a bell that you can always see, like on a desktop, which you could use this, or in an app. It's probably going to bring up a modal window, which is going to cover this, so you wouldn't see this part of the animation, but at least it's there in case you want to use it in cross-platform. Okay, from here, we're ready to export to body movement. So let's go up to Window, Extensions, Body Movement. And with the body moving window open, we're just going to come down to Selected and hit this. We're going to go to the right and give it somewhere to save it. I'm just going to save this in the same place I put the After Effects file. And you might want to give this a name that's easily understood by your developer. So you might have Bal Anim 24, because that was the original size of it. And I've done this in camel case here. I'm going to go Save, then hit Render. Let's go and preview that. Hit Preview, hit Current Renders, select it. Okay, everything seems to be working, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to hit Settings here. And let's just go down to the bottom where Expression Options is there. We're going to open it and go Convert Expressions to Keyframes. And that's because out of the box, body moving can't handle expressions. I mean, they're quite complex, right? So this is going to convert it into keyframes. So when we export it, all that movement is still there. With that done, let's select Save and then go and render again. Okay, now we've exported it, we can close After Effects, go find that file, and then drag it into the preview feature in a website called Lottie Files. Let's go and do that. Okay, and at the Lottie Files site, I've made an account and signed in. You're going to have to do that too to be able to preview them. Then you can come over to Design and then go to Preview. And let's just drag the JSON file that we exported with body movement into here. It's going to upload it and then play it. All right, that's looking fine when it's previewing on the web. See this QR code here? Let's use the Lottie Files preview app to see what it looks like on my iPhone. Okay, and with the app open, as you can see there, I'm just going to hit preview. That's going to open up the camera. I'm just going to scan this QR code from my screen. All right, you can see that it didn't include that white background, which is fantastic. All right, we can change that by hitting Edit, then this last icon here, and then we're going to drag this middle slider all the way to the left, making the background white. And there we go. It's working on the iPhone app. And when you send this to your developer, at least you know it's going to work for a mobile as well. And that's it. You've taken an icon from Figma over to After Effects, had fun animating it, then exported it as a Lottie file that you're now previewing inside the website and on the app. And yeah, I hope you're taking care out there, looking after yourselves and each other, and I'll see you in the next one, where we're going to have a new intro, new music, and I'm going to be doing some Figma tutorials. Alright, have a good one. Bye.